So, at the end of last month, there was a Nintendo shareholders meeting, and the subject of indie games came up when one shareholder said this. Indie games have become a hot topic recently as games made by small scale developers around the world with relatively low development costs. How will Nintendo integrate these kinds of games into its future business strategy? And Nintendo Managing Executive Officer Shinya Takahashi responded with the following. We are actively engaging with indie developers at video game focused shows and other events in different regions. Some of the indie games already released have gone on to become million sellers worldwide. In the future, we are looking to release around 20 to 30 indie games on Nintendo Switch per week. And we definitely expect to see some great games among them. First of all, I love how he doesn't even say like, oh, and they'll all be great. Like saying we expect to see some great games among them, they know we're going to be dealing with a lot of trash here. And it's like how things can change. People were once complaining about how the Switch wasn't getting enough games, and now my concern is that we may be getting too many soon. I've talked at length about how much I love the opportunity that the Nintendo Switch and the eShop brings to the indie development community. Simple things like the recently released category, right? Straight up lists games in order of release, and it throws indie games right up there with AAA games. I love that. But I'm already kind of the belief that the Nintendo Switch eShop, in terms of indie games, has been kind of slipping, in my opinion. And if we see an even bigger push to just get more indie games on the system, it's only going to get worse. I'm sorry guys, not every game can be Vroom into the night sky, okay? If you're hitting this platform with that many games in a week, there's going to be a lot. Hell, most of it will probably be garbage. Now, you may be of the mind that the more the merrier. You know, what's wrong with getting more games if you're still getting the great ones also? Well, just ask Steam how that's going for them. You need some semblance of quality control. Like I just said, that recently added tab, right, on the Nintendo Switch eShop, a great way to discover new great indie games. But if that sucker's just getting hit with 30 games a week, it's like if you don't check it for a couple weeks, you're not going to want to sift through all that crap. If you just let anyone put anything on your platform, it's going to bury the good stuff. Let's say we have a Hollow Knight level game release, but then 5 more games release just after it that same day. As they're suggesting, possibly 30 more within that week. How many people are even going to see it? And how long, when you've turned the eShop into a dumping ground for cheap indie games, before people stop bothering with the indie category altogether? Like, this is usually my process with indie games, and I think it's similar for a lot of people. A game's title, its cover art, may catch your eye. You click on it, you look at the screenshots, a trailer possibly. Maybe you go online, see what other people are saying about it, and that's how you decide if you want to check it out. But when there's 100 games hitting the system a month in this category, how many are you actually going to do this with? Especially if the majority seem subpar. You're going to have people who check through 15, 20 of the garbage games that came out this week, then give up. Maybe number 21 was an Owlboy. Well, too bad. They didn't get that far. And how are people going to sift through this again, 100 games this month, 100 games next month, before they just figure the whole thing is a lost cause? I'm just going to stick to the AAA stuff. And especially for these games that don't get a ton of buzz. Not every indie is a Kickstarter legend like Shovel Knight with all this hype behind it. Oftentimes, no one knows about these games until the day they're released. They're going to get buried. Geez, and think about Wood. Beat 'em ups. He's going to have to make one of those top 10 greatest indie games of all time on the eShop that I'm addicted to and are worth the price videos, like every day. If he's not already making one every day, he'll have to go 2 a day then. I've gone on record in the past saying, I don't believe every game deserves a spotlight, and I'll go a step further here. Not every game deserves to be on the Nintendo eShop, especially with Nintendo. I always say I attribute a certain level of quality when it comes to Nintendo games, and I think they should want to carry that over into the approval process when it comes to which games make it on the eShop. This is an arena where Nintendo can have developers climbing over each other to be on their system. Yes, it's hard to get a lot of the AAA third-party stuff because of the limitations of the system, but this is another thing I've said. As someone with all three current systems, when it comes to indie games, if I'm buying it on anything, it's on the Switch, because these types of games aren't going to be much different, depending on platform, if at all, and the Switch version I can take on the go. Simple. And these games are selling incredibly well in the system, at least the good ones are, of course. Everyone wants to be on it. Because of this, we're seeing indie games make the Nintendo version of their games the priority. Whether it be giving exclusive content to the Nintendo Switch version, being on the Nintendo Switch first. And that's the way it should be. It should be a competition to get onto the Switch. It shouldn't be Nintendo going, oh yeah, everybody whose game is playable and wants to have it on the Switch, come on over. And then telling the consumer, oh, you sift through it all, figure out what's good. It should be Nintendo going to the developers saying, hey, we have 100 people this month that want to be on our system. Why should we pick you over them? They should be using this as an opportunity to get a better product out of these people, and thus a better game to you, the consumers, to play. And this is money people want to spend, okay? People want to buy great indie games on Nintendo Switch. It's already been proven. But if you make it hard for them to find those games they want to buy, they're going to spend that money elsewhere. Simple as that. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch eShop potentially getting 20 to 30 indie games per week in the comments. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.